Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to another installment of Real Life Pastor. I am John, and I am a pastor in real life. We're back here in my home office, and this week we're going to be talking about the results of last week's video, which if you haven't seen it yet, please look at the last video we made. But this video is going to be about the results of the 7-day fast that I just went on, and how that went, how I'm feeling now. Did God speak to me? Did God not speak to me? We are going to find about all that and more right after this. Roll the intro. Yeah, so obviously you're watching this video because hopefully you've seen the last video where I talk about the journey to why I decided to go on a 7-day fast. And just to be clear, it's a 7-day spiritual fast. Of course, food is eliminated in all of that. But a lot of questions that I get have to do with weight loss. How much weight have you lost? Have you lost any weight? Those kinds of questions. And I just want to clarify that I did none of this fasting. There's zero reason that I did this fasting because of a health trend or anything like that. I didn't even weigh myself at the beginning, and I haven't weighed myself here at the end. I genuinely have no idea what kind of weight loss I've had. As far as how I'm physically feeling right now, now that it's day 7, we're in the final day of the fast. This isn't technically after the fast. But here on day 7, as of right now, I'm doing okay. But it's been a very long week. I would say with all honesty that probably days 4 and 5 were definitely the most difficult to get through. And the cravings throughout the week never went away. I never stopped craving food. I want it all still. But 4 and 5 were definitely the biggest tests. From reading up on doing a fast, they say that after day 3, you should not have any cravings or stomach pains or any hunger issues like that. And you should be able to regain some energy, and that just wasn't the case for me. I was pretty much tired the whole week, if I'm being honest. Without a doubt, the hardest day or time during this whole fast was just last night. And part of that's my fault. My wife came home and she wanted to do some meal prep and asked for help. And so I did help her. And one of the things we made together was pesto chicken, which, if you know anything about pesto, anything, it's a very intense aroma and it filled the whole house. So for the whole evening, I was smelling nothing but this delicious pesto chicken and also the garlic seasoned vegetables that we were doing in the oven. And that was testing more than anything else. Molly can tell you, I was shaking, I was miserable, I was grumpy, I was mean to her, unfortunately. And I don't know if part of that has to do with me being so close to the end of the fast that I was just like, I could end this right now. I could take a bite of this right now. I will say though that luckily I powered through. It took everything I had. A lot of prayer. I was praying like the whole evening to try to get through it. But eventually I did, and here I am, day 7, the last day. And I'll expand on last night just because I think it's important to cover everything that happened. It did begin to even weigh on my wife. She said most of the week I was actually really pleasant. I didn't seem grumpy or angry because of the hunger pains or anything like that. But the biggest thing, especially, she was just over it last night, and the reason is she just wanted to have a meal with me. She just wanted to eat dinner with me. We tend to forget about how much food means in our society and in our relationships and how we communicate with each other. So if you are a wife or a husband that hasn't had a meal with your spouse in a week, it's definitely more challenging than I think anybody would think about. I'm still alive. I'm still here. I didn't die because I didn't eat food. And I really didn't eat food. I didn't even eat gum. I didn't eat mints or anything like that. I will say, day 1, I put a piece of gum, like I was at the gas station, I put a piece of gum in my mouth out of habit, and I was pumping the gas, and like 10 seconds later, I was just like, wait a second, this isn't fasting. So I spit it out immediately. Hopefully God will forgive me. I know a lot of you are thinking, that's pretty extreme. You don't have to do all of that in order to fast. But just how I feel in my heart, I made a covenant to God, and I was going to keep it. No questions asked. So just a little bit more about that covenant. I said to God, I can't hear you right now. I feel far from you. I need to hear you. And so I said to myself, I'll admit that when I started out with this journey and before in all my preparation, I was kind of doing this so that I could hear, or so that God would speak to me. I was doing it so that God would speak to me what I needed to do next, where I needed to go next. And it took me till about day 2 to realize that was not how I wanted to do it. That is not the right way to go about fasting. Instead, I took this kind of 180 mentally and said to myself, this isn't about whether or not God's speaking to you. This is about whether or not you are listening. This is about whether or not you are doing everything that you can possibly do to get yourself in a position to listen to God. And if God speaks to you, that's great. That's amazing. But even if not, you're listening and you know you are. And I'll be honest, that was a huge transformation within the fast that was significant, probably in the whole overall success, was that it was something about me. It wasn't about God speaking to me. It was about me. It was about me listening. So here we are, day 7. Has God said anything to me? Has God spoken to me? And the answer is yes. I would say that it also started on day 2, maybe after I made that transformation in my reasoning for fasting. I would say that it was really light at first. It was this feeling that you just need to do the next right thing. That's what I need from you right now. Just do the right next thing. But it was really faint, and I wasn't sure. I mean, part of me still wanted that really big epiphany, like you are going here. You are going to change the world there. I was like, is that God, or is that just me thinking out loud? But at day 4 and day 5 were my days were the worst. That voice, that feeling, whatever you'd call it. Of course, God didn't come out of the skies and talk to me directly, but that feeling of do the next right thing was becoming more and more clear that's what God is trying to get me to do right now. And while that might sound nice, that might sound pretty and beautiful and Christian-y, it was not easy to hear. You have to understand that in my context and where my ministry has come from and where it is now, up until this point, my relationship with God has been very go-get-em. My relationship with God has been very loud. I knew exactly where God wanted me to be. I knew exactly the decisions I needed to make. I knew exactly what God had in store for me. I mean, we're talking about a pastor here who hasn't finished seminary yet and was already a lead pastor at a church. That doesn't happen just because of my charisma. And so up until this point, it's been very clear my relationship with God, and I've just known, I just feel it in my heart exactly where I was supposed to go, everything I was supposed to do. That is just the relationship with God that I had, and then nothing. It was like a light switch. Sorry. It was like there was a light switch that suddenly shut off, and everything changed. And so knowing what my history with God has been like and how just amazing it's been to hear, at least the way I received it was this message. It seemed, in my own pride, in my own selfishness, it was like, really? That's all you want from me? Just do the right next thing? And so I had to do more praying. I had to do more discerning. And I had to open up my heart to what God was really saying. And I still believe that God has plans for me. I still believe that there's a next step. But I think how I have seen, how I have discerned, but I think what God is trying to say to me is it's not yet. Whether it's because of me or because the situation isn't right, maybe I need to do more growing up. Maybe I need to do more education. Maybe I need to do some more things with my pride. Maybe I need to, heal a little bit more. Or like I said, maybe the situation isn't there yet. Maybe what God wants from me isn't ready yet. Either way, God is telling me right now, and I have to receive this with open arms. God is telling me right now, I just need for you to do the right next thing. And so what seems like this little message, or what at first seemed like this little insignificant message, has become profound and has become motivation, and it's become hope, and it's become everything that I will do from here on out, just as strong as my covenant was about my ministry in general, but also this fasting. My covenant with God right here and right now is that I will do the next right thing. And I'll be honest, I don't know how strongly I believe that until just saying that right now. And I want you to know, just because I'm receiving that now, and just because I'm believing it now, does not mean that it's going to be easy. Because the truth of the matter is, we still are dealing with practical things in life, like loss of income, and where are we going to go next? Just those kinds of things. It would be much easier if God was just like, go to Columbus, go to Florida, go to Denver. It would be so much easier if God just spoke that. But God said something different. And we all know that God always answers prayer, but sometimes the answer is no. And sometimes, even more painstakingly, the answer is wait. And so here we are. We're waiting. I am doing the next right thing. I am preparing myself, opening my heart to this terrifying reality that I still don't know where I'm going to go next. But you know what? I feel God again. I didn't know I was going to get so emotional recording this video. Anyway, so those are the results. Did my spiritual fast work? Absolutely.